What is up, my entrepreneurial friends? Today I'm going to be taking you through a mode of tracking your business and a mode of measuring your business's health that if I had have focused on this and I had have really embodied this, especially in the first 5 years of my entrepreneurial journey, I would have been eons ahead. It took me about 5 years to really understand these truths that I'm going to share with you today. And it's taken the following 8 or so years. I've been in business for 12, 13 years now. And it's still to this day a practice for me to embody this more and more. So we're going to take a deep dive into what truly determines the health of your business and most importantly, where your attention actually needs to be. Because it actually needs to be on money, a hell of a lot less than you may think. It actually needs to be on things like views and engagement and lead flow and stuff like that. It needs to be focused on that a hell of a lot less than you might think, and a hell of a lot less than what most gurus would teach. And also at the same time, let's stay grounded in this and realize as well that a business that's profiting shows a measure of health. And at the same time, it's not the only marker. In fact, a business that's profiting is really just producing a symptom of its health. So anyway, we're going to have a deep dive. Get your beverage of choice. I've actually got a bulletproof coffee for the first time in probably a year. So I've got the coffee, I've got the fat mixed in, it's a creamy goodness, and we're ready to rock. So let's do this thing. All right. Now, the real health of business. Here's where most people get wrong, and they get it wrong on both ends of the spectrum. They get it wrong when their business is doing really well and they think that it's doing really well, where it's actually about to be buried in the ground. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you might be in a position where you feel like your business is doing really shit, but it's actually not. And if you keep focusing on the evidence that it's doing really shit, then you're going to focus on the wrong things and you're going to end up in a position where it is going really shit. And you're going to miss all the beauty in your business and all of the beautiful markers of success. And you're going to discount those markers and get distracted and think that you're actually doing a lot worse than you are. And then what's going to end up happening is those beautiful markers that are actually indicating a lot of health, you're going to stop focusing on them. They will decay. And then your business really, truly will be unhealthy. So let's break this whole thing down. Now we've got 2 different types of markers within our business. I'm going to call them the external markers and the internal markers. So we're going to call these the external. These are your external markers. These are things like how many views you're getting, how many eyes are on your business, market awareness, how many leads that you have, how much cash your business is generating, and the overall growth of your company, of your business. Okay? Now, these are the external markers that most people are conditioned to focus on. And I want us to really appreciate that word, conditioned. You need to understand that from the moment you were placed into school, 6 years old or so, all the way up until probably however old you are right now, society, the conscious collective, has focused on mechanics and materialism. And what's this resulted in is you having that conditioning placed upon you again and again and again. And while I don't believe that we are victimlessly at effect to our environment, it has pull on our mind, on the way that we're thinking of things. So what ends up happening is we place all of the value in these external markers. We have a terrible month, and then we go, okay, what's wrong with the business? The business doesn't generate as much cash, which is one of these markers. Cash doesn't generate as much cash this month. And we go, what the fuck? What is going on within the business? How can we change it so we generate more cash next month? Or we're generating good cash, but then we're starting to know that our lead flow is dying off. Oh, we're not getting as many inquiries. Oh, fuck. We're not getting as many inquiries. We're not getting as many leads. We're not getting as many views on our videos or whatever it is, and we go, oh fuck, we need to change this. This is an indicator that things are heading in the wrong direction. Now, this isn't going to be a passive video either. None of my work is based in passive surrender where we just don't even look at this stuff and just go, we'll just, right? It's not quite based there. But what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at deeper dynamics that are actually going to improve these as well. So on the other end of the spectrum, people measure it in the other way. And they go, oh, the cash, what the fuck? We had the best month ever. We had a $100,000 month. We had a $4 million month. We had a whatever it is month. Okay, we had our first 10K month and we go, okay, great. This is an indicator. This is an indicator that things are going well. Woohoo! Things are going so well in our business. Everything's going amazing. And sometimes we're measuring the wrong thing here again, even if we're thriving. Again, I cannot list the amount of individuals that have come to us, and all of these markers have been amazing. They're doing more money than they ever have before. They're generating more leads than they ever have before. They're getting more views and more attention than they've ever had before. And their business is about a month away from completely imploding. So, let's spin to the other end of the spectrum now. Let's look at our internal metrics. Not our external, not what's going on in the external world, but our internal metrics. Now, I've drawn somebody who's dropping in and they're connected, right? Just for an example here. But our internal metrics is what is going on with the individual that is actually responsible for driving this ship forward. You can have the healthiest ship ever, but if the captain is fucking drunk, it's over. You're going to crash. The whole thing's going to turn to shit, right? In fact, most ships run into trouble due to the dynamics of the crew, right? So when we look at you, the human being, these are the markers that quite often, when placed into alignment, are actually producing these external markers which are more symptomatic than anything else. So the first one is precision. How clear, how consistent, and how concise is the business owner? Are you clear-minded? So many individuals will jump onto a call with me, they book a call and I meet them for the first time and they're like, oh my God, this is the problems in the business, this is what's going on, this is an issue, then this is happening, and then this is, and I'm like, I can tell within literally 30 seconds that they have absolutely no clarity, they have absolutely no consistency with their thought and consistency with their direction. They have none, and they're not concise. And all of these things link into one another, right? The lack of clarity, the lack of consistency, and the conciseness, they all intertwine, and the precision, the presence, and the peace, they all feed upon each other, right? So they're talking to me about marketing, and they're talking to me about their funnel, or they're talking to me about the fact that they don't have enough leads, or whatever it might be. They're talking to me about all of these problems. But the real truth is that we are actually incredibly ineffective if we even look at these external markets, because they're not thinking clearly. They've got a veil of fog over everything. And one day they're thinking this thing, and one day they're thinking that thing, and one day they think their audience is this, and one day they think their audience is that, and one day their messaging is here, and one day their messaging is there, and they're all over the place. They've got no precision. Now you might go, but isn't that a marketing problem? You're kind of starting to get the hint then, aren't you? The marketing problem is so often a result of the internal problem, of the fact that this leader's clarity of mind is not there. And again, this does not matter whether the company is aiming to do their first 5 or 10K a month, or whether this business owner is running $100 million company. It makes zero difference. And this is a consistent message that I'm aiming to get across here. The business level does not matter. The only thing that's really different is the magnitude of energy the further up you go. The next piece is presence. A measure of the individual's presence. Are they free from their mind? And full transparency, this is something that I have been called deeper and deeper to over literally the last few weeks. I've realized, shit, I'm losing my presence. I'm filming this video, but I'm not really filming. I'm not here. I'm not in the video. And then even simple things like I'm in nature, but I'm not really in nature. I'm in nature thinking about the metaphors of nature, philosophizing about nature and turning the nature concepts into business ideas and thinking about how that's a reflection of the business and I'm not there with nature. Are we able to cultivate a level of presence where we are where we are? We are fully here in any moment that we are in. You see this in large companies. The business owner is in a meeting, but they're in the meeting from a physical meat suit perspective. They're physically there, but they are not mentally, emotionally, or spiritually there. They are fucking checked out. You see it on another end of the spectrum. They're with their family, but they're not really with their family. They're going for a walk with their family. Their mind is off thinking about business. Now, I'll just touch on this really slightly as well. I had some conditioning that I had to unravel where I believed that by focusing on business enough, it would grow the business. This is one of the biggest traps you can fall into. I've even heard a quote before. If you think about something for long enough, you're going to figure it out. No. In fact, the inverse is often true. I used to have this conditioning that would have me believe that I'm thinking through my problems again and again and again, but really all I'm doing is I'm just playing with my mind, playing with my ego, never actually in the spot that I'm actually in. And you might go, well, how does that actually have an effect on the business? Well, the biggest effect that it has, and there's many, but the biggest effect that it has is that your energy is leaking all over the fucking place. All over the place. You're never recovering. Your mind is never clear because it never shuts off. So it just digs a hole, which leads to 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 a paradox, which leads to a hole, which leads to a paradox. Check out my video on Free Your Mind. If it's not out, it's coming soon. But this is the danger when we don't have presence. So the other thing that occurs is that since we're not present with all of these external markers, we're in a position where we're not actually able to see them for what they are because we're making so much mess in our head. Okay? The last one is peace. I know that might sound very passive again, but how peaceful are you in the operation of your business? How much peace do you have in your dynamics of your business, in your relationships in business, in your relationship with clients? Is it peaceful? And I don't mean peaceful necessarily in necessarily, but I mean, is it free from disruption? Is it free from energy leaks? Has it been cleared? Is it coherent? Are your relationships with your clients coherent? Or is there resentment there because you haven't placed boundaries in place? Is there weird projections coming up on either end? Whatever it is, how peaceful are the dynamics? How peaceful are the dynamics with all of your staff? I've said this before. I've had founders come into us, and the two founders, they're not in unity together. They're not in full unity and rhythm with one another. So forget it. Forget the whole company. Forget the entire fucking thing. if these two are not in unity with one another, if they're not in coherence with one another, if they're not on the same page, if they're not on the same frequency, if they haven't developed deep respect for one another, right? If there's resentment held to one another, forget the whole fucking company, because the whole thing will shatter. The whole thing will shatter. It does not matter how many views they're getting, how much money they're making, profit they're making, leads they've got, sales, nothing. None of it. Because the dynamics aren't at peace. Now, lastly, is the individual at peace through sun or storm? And this is a big one. There's so many individuals that when it's sunny and beautiful and everything's going well and they're having beautiful months and they're making nice profit and the staff are getting along, all the rest of that, they're at peace. But then when the storm comes, their entire being enters dysregulation and they weather the storm versus enjoying the storm. They weather the storm instead of getting out onto the deck of the ship and being like, woohoo, yeah, baby, and getting smashed by the waves. They're not at peace in the storm. They are not sure how to regulate their nervous system in a way that allows them to be at peace through the storm. Back to operation. Is there a level of peace through the operation of the business? Because this is actually the biggest determining factor of scalability within a business. How peacefully is your operation? This is something that I've embodied even deeper recently. How peaceful is my operation? Pretty fucking peaceful. Very peaceful. I love this. How much energy is being zapped from me through filming this video? None. In fact, I'm barefoot on the grass. I'm chilling. I'm relaxing with you guys. The units of energy that are required from me to operate in my business are so infinitely tiny because of the way I've designed my business, because of the way my model works, because of the way I've chosen to go about my marketing, because of the way I've chosen to treat my audience and what audience I've chosen to work with. This means that there's so much peace in the general operation. So I'm not being burnt out. I'm not fatiguing myself. I'm not having huge ups and downs and all over the places because my own being is dysregulated as fuck. I remember for so long there, and I still have little snippets where the ego distracts me, right? I remember for so long there, I didn't feel as though I was worthy of success unless I was getting into it with some effort. I can't be worthy of success if this is how much effort I put in. I'm not worthy of it, man. No. I got to do some fucking push-ups while I do this. And more importantly, I've got to get the frequency in which my brain is resonating in. I've got to heighten the fuck out of it and get in a heightened state and be like, righto guys, this is where I'm going to show you how to build your business. Let's go. I used to have this belief system on myself that unless I was in this, things wouldn't build. But what I failed to realize was all I was doing by being in those states continually, being in not a piece of operation, but a place of forceful operation, is I was actually creating lots of dysregulation, not only within myself, but as you know deep in your soul, I was creating deep dysregulation within the quantum field as well. I'm sending out these messages that are all over the fucking place. But what ends up happening is when I come back to peaceful operation, to ease, what I'm actually doing is I'm sending out this beautiful wave of coherence and consistency. And this ties into everything. It all ties into one another. I then become so much clearer in my thinking, so much more consistent because I'm versus all over the fucking place. so much more concise because I've slowed everything down. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I'm more present with everything. I'm really here in this video. I'm not rushing this video. This video will take as long as this video takes. There's no rush. And then I'm able to be really calm through the sun and the storm. Now, for you, now that you sort of understand this, let's think about your business at the moment, and let's think now about the trap. This is phase 2 of the video. The trap, and how it fucks you up so badly. How's that? I finish phase 1 of the video, go to phase 2 and the battery dies. Good time to change it. So phase 2 is the trap, and how we lock ourselves into this trap. What ends up happening is we look at this external evidence of how things are going. And then what ends up happening is, since we're not generating the cash, since we're not generating the leads in a short period of time, since we're not getting the views or whatever it might be, since this is happening, we then change things that aren't broken. We change things that don't need to be changed. That's one way that we mess the whole dynamic up. We change things that don't need to be changed, because what ends up happening is, what's really occurring, we've got a decrease in cash or whatever it might be. So then our precision gets all fucked up, because we take this external temporary event and we place meaning upon it. Fuck, we're not getting enough leads, we're not getting enough cash. So now we go down into precision and we become less precise. And what we end up doing is we're like, well, now I'm not clear. Maybe I need to change my audience. Maybe I need to this. Maybe I need to that. Oh, maybe I'll go into this direction. So now we've gotten rid of consistency. That's gone because we're trying to change things that don't need to be changed. And now we're not as concise with what it is that we're doing, because we're looking at this external and we're placing miles too much meaning behind this external. Behind the fact that we may not have cash in this moment, we may not have leads in this moment, whatever it might be. The thing is that so much of the metrics that we need, so much of the feedback we don't fucking need. What ends up happening is, if we are always relying on this external feedback, we lose sight of the most powerful feedback, which is our own inner guidance system. Now, I'm not saying that we should only follow that and ignore the entire physical realm, but fuck, am I saying we should be giving it so much more weight. So much more weight, because there is actually so much that if you tune into yourself, if you come to a place of peace, if you come to presence, if you come to clear-minded thinking, you free yourself from this constant chatter, you go beyond the noise, you stop listening to 1,000,001 gurus that are telling you how to do things and get leads and get money and make... There's so much you already fucking know. There's so much you already know. And I need you to understand, I don't wish, because, no regret, but like, if someone had have told me in the first couple of years of business, if they had have said, and if I had have, they could have said it, I wouldn't have fucking listened, too immature and stuck in my ways and all the rest of it, but like, if I had have understood just how short a month is, and just how short a year is, and just how short 2 years is, if I had have understood that, I would have paid a fuckload less attention to this. A fuckload less. And what would have happened as a result of me paying less attention to it? and this is where I'm saying this is not a passive approach, I would have stopped paying so much attention to this. I would have dropped in with complete precision, complete clarity, consistency, conciseness with what it is that I'm doing. I would have freed myself from the thinking about all of this noise all of the time. I would have started operating from so much more peace because I wouldn't have been stressed over this stuff as much, right? I would have had so much more peace in my dynamics through the sun, through the storm, and I would have continued doing all of the things that were actually right because all of these were right. All of these dynamics were right. I remember I had moments when I first started out. Everything felt perfect. This wasn't happening. But the issue with that is that this wasn't happening because I was doubting why this wasn't happening, which was leading to a dysregulation down here, which was leading to this not happening, which was leading to a dysregulation down here. It was just this cycle again and again and again. But again, if I had have realized just how small a month is, maybe you've had a shit month. Maybe you've had a shit month because you've been dropping into deeper levels of alignment. Maybe you've had a shit month because you've actually been cutting off all that is no longer aligned to you. Maybe the business is operating, this massive business that you run, maybe it's operating in a different way because it's simply going through market adjustments. Maybe it's fine. It's the storm you're making out of it that is just currently just churning this cycle again and again and again. Maybe we need to be having conversations around how we can get you crystal clear again. Maybe we need to be having conversations around how we can create an internal match with what it is that you do, and we can align your business to the depth of who you are so authentically that you develop consistency throughout the years, throughout the decades. And that's one thing I do pat myself on the back for, is that I've been doing what I've been doing for over 10 years. Been in business for 12, sorry, not quite. Been in business for 12, been doing what I'm doing now for 8 of those 12 years. Again and again and again. That's allowed me to build what it is that I've built, but why? Because I built it from the right place. I built it from the deep internals of who I really am, versus building it on what will get me results. Now again, if I had have done that, like, you know what's funny? It's only been recently that I've really realized it's only been recently that I've allowed myself to be fully lit up by these style videos. I've had this in my mind for so long. I've had this in my knowing for so long, and I've been distracted by different things. Been distracted by this thing and that thing and the social media thing and all of the rest of it. And imagine if I had have been doing this 7 years ago, what it would create. But it's the same metaphor, right? It's like the best time to plant the tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Okay? So I'm on this journey with you guys as well at the same time. It's just different levels. Okay? Deeper levels of embodiment. Now, the funny thing with all of this is that the more you fall into alignment here, wow, we've got a shitstorm here now, but the more we fall into alignment here, the more this external success will naturally happen. Is the natural law. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you can't create a lot of success over here while having that completely fucked up. You definitely can. You definitely can. You can definitely build a business from misalignment. There are endless companies that have done that. Endless companies. Right? But what they get trapped in is tracking just money. Like, even let's look at something like the technological downfall that we're having at the moment. And if you're not aware of that, get aware. Tech is about to completely fall on its ass. Let's say, for example, we have this company that provides video streaming, okay, on the TV. And this company has got to where they are right now by focusing on nothing other than cash. They're upping memberships again and again and again and again and again. And I could use a million examples other than just this one, but they're upping prices again and again and again and again and again, and they're not focused on the user experience at all. They're not focused on the user experience whatsoever. They've built a level of a monopoly, and then they've just focused on how to drain more cash out. They just want more cash, more cash, more cash, more cash, more cash. And they're not realizing that what they're doing is they're destroying every other element of their business, every other element, right? And it's not increasing the user experience, it's not in more harmony, it's not in more anything. And then this is how even the largest whale companies fall. So it's not just you. It's not just smaller companies. It's not just solopreneurs like myself. It's not just any of it. When we focus on nothing but the cash, we are destroying our chance for a healthy business. We're destroying the possibility to create something with true sustainability, true sovereignty, and true health within. If this has been useful, do the things, the likes, the comments, the subscribes, all of the rest of it. And something else that I've got for you as well is I'm in a period, in a season myself of becoming even more clear-minded and more in tune with what my mission is. And I'm offering some one-on-one deep dive calls that you can book below. They are a paid call. There is no sales in any of them whatsoever. It is a singular call that you can purchase with me. We deep dive together and break apart everything that's going on in your business. If that would be helpful for you, book the singular call below, and I really look forward to connecting with you. This is only available to book once every 3 months, and I do have a limited spot on them. So if that's in alignment with you, fantastic. I'll see you there. Other than that, if you're not already in it, join our free Telegram group down below where we're having high-level business conversations each and every day. See you on the next one.